Folks, I just want to show you the gear I've got laid out that I'll be taking on the Great Divide ride this summer. And I've got the gear all laid out here, so I'll just walk you through what I've got and show you what it is. Okay, so first row right here that we're looking at, that is my camp gear. So that's mostly gear that I'll be using to set up camp or while I'm in camp. So the first thing we've got right here is a Zen Bivy quilt, down quilt. It's their warmest model. I believe it's a 25-degree quilt. And I could pack it up a lot smaller. It would compress down more than what I've done there, but I've got it in that bag because that fits perfectly on the rack as a trunk bag on the back of the bike. And yeah, so that's a Zen Bivy. That's the full complement of kit there. It's got the bivy, it's got the pillow, it's got the shroud that goes around your head, the sheet. So it's got the whole 9 yards there. So that's why it's quite large, but it's not very heavy. It's very lightweight. Fits right on the back of my bike. Right next to that, I've got a tent, my camp tent. That's a Durston X-Mid Pro. Really excellent piece of kit. I've used it a couple times, and it's sturdy. It didn't blow down in a big thunder shower. And I've got the carbon poles, and it's just really lightweight. Fits right on the front of my bike on my handlebar bag. Just love it. Fantastic piece of gear. The Zen Bivy, right next to that, I've got the Zen Bivy ultralight air mattress, and that pairs up with the Zen Bivy quilt, and it's insulated, it's very warm, it's very comfortable, and just love it. And so that's another piece of gear. Right next to that, I've got my Helinox, what do they call it, Zero or something like that. It's a camp chair, weighs 1.1 ounces. It's kind of a luxury, right, to have a camp chair on a long distance bike packing trip. But it is so comfortable, and at the end of the day, when you can just sit down in that and lean back and cook your dinner, boil water, whatever, or just sit down and drink a soda or something. It's just a great way to relax at the end of the day, and you never have to lay in the dirt. So I'm planning on taking that with me. Right next to that is my air pump for my air mattress. It's a Flex Tail. It's this guy right here. It both inflates and deflates, and it also has a light on it. Lights up. So that's coming with. Then next to that, I've got my camp shoes, just this old pair of Tevas, lightweight, and they also double as water shoes if I have to cross water. I can put those on, roll up I'll be wearing shorts, but I can put those on and wade across water and keep my shoes dry and my socks dry if I take them off before I wade, right? Right next to that, I've got a pair of underwear, a pair of those black things on the floor there. Those are gloves. Just thin gloves for packing up in the morning, because when your gear's wet and it's cold outside and you start packing it up, my fingers start to burn, and then I have to put them in my pockets and warm them up before I can continue to pack. So a pair of light gloves for packing up in the morning. You can see the eye shield for sleeping at night if you're in a lighted place, or if there's a thunderstorm that you want to kind of ignore the flashes. You can put that. I've used that for that purpose. I put it on in a thunderstorm so that you don't have to have your hair standing up on end every time there's a flash. And toiletries in the blue bag there, that includes toothbrush, soap, toothpaste, floss, and I also put my earplugs in there. There's probably a couple other things in there, but they're listed. I've got a detailed list that I'm going to post that shows everything that I've got here. And then that towel underneath, that's actually a lightweight backpacking towel that has a little buttonhole in it that connects so that you can wear it like a kilt, and it makes a great changing room if you need to change someplace where there's other people around. You can wrap up in that, or I can wrap up in that and change without permanently scarring somebody who might glance over and see me changing. So that's a really nice piece of kit to use, and so probably coming with me. I usually take it. Okay, so that's camp. That's what's going to go on in camp. So I kind of categorize this different ways. That is the camp stuff right there. And then let's go on to our next row here. This is my daily ride gear, I would call it. So my daily ride gear, I got my POC helmet with a little bit of reflective tape on it. And then I got Tifosi glasses. And these are photochromic glasses with reader lenses. So my riding computer, my Garmin, the screen is so small, it's really hard to see the readout on the screen. So I wear these reader glasses, and plus, you know, when you get to be my age, you need reader glasses sometimes. So that's what those are, and they do get darker in the sun, right? Because they're photochromic. And then I've got my one pair of this is kind of my normal day riding gloves. These are just Giro, I think they call them DNDs, down and dirties. Just normal day riding gloves. If it's not too cold, I can wear these. If it's not too hot, I'll wear these. If it's either of those, we'll talk about it. My shoes that I wear, these are Quacks. I bought these from a company, I believe it's in the UK, and just love them. They fit well, they're comfortable, they're very rigid. You know, the tread underneath is good. The rubber compound, whatever they used, is pretty stiff, and so you don't, you know, it's not like it's not a grippy kind of rubber. So not great for walking over rocks. I would say a lot of rocks. But I think the trade-off there that I like the weight, the way they fit. They don't have a lot of material to them, so they're not going to hold water if they get wet. So I really like the shoes. They're comfortable, so I'm going to stick with those. Got my neck gaiter, my riding hat. This is my wool base layer right here. It's just a smart wool base layer. I don't remember exactly what they call it, but it's a smart wool base layer that I've got there. I think they might call it, I don't know. Wool socks. And this is an Alpha, Polartec Alpha hoodie. And this fabric really breathes well, and it insulates nicely. And you know, when you're out there working hard on the bike, you need something that the moisture is going to go through. Otherwise, you're going to soak your clothes, and then, you know, when you're on a downhill, you're going to freeze because you won't be making as much heat. And so this is really a fantastic fabric. I got this off of a website called Garage Grown Gear. I believe that was what it is, and use that as a mid layer. And then my outer layer is just that's a Patagonia windbreaker shell that packs up. You can see it packs up nicely and small. And then I've got a pair of shorts here that I will wear. And then I've got a pair of liner shorts that are padded if to wear underneath the mountain bike shorts, which are not padded. So that's my daily dress, especially on the northern part of the trail, Canada, northern Montana, where it's pretty cool. And I did a few years ago ride the trail from the Canadian border down to Helena. Had a few days to do that, and so I'm a little bit familiar with the conditions out there. And I know it can get very, very hot, and it can get quite cold, especially in June up in Canada and northern Montana. It can be quite cold. It can snow, freezing temperatures. So that's a pretty heavy set of gear right there, a pretty warm set of gear for the cooler days in Canada and northern Montana. And as things warm up, I'll show you my warm weather gear. The next row over here is like rain gear, and so I've got a pair of Pearl Izumi. These are booties, rain booties, cool weather booties, and they are they're fantastic. I love them when it's cold outside. They keep your feet warm. When it's wet outside, they keep your feet dry. And so those are coming with, because if the temperature gets down below 40, my toes start to hurt. So I put those on and everything is good again. If it's down in the low 30s, even the upper 20s, I really need a second layer on my feet. So I'm going to bring those with me. Next thing is this is a Gore-Tex rain pants. I've worn those several times in the rain. They don't wet out. They're very lightweight and packable, and so those are going. And then here I've got a Columbia OutDry Extreme rain shell, and you can see it's kind of shiny. It's almost like a PVC rain jacket, except it's a lot thinner and much more packable, and it really repels the rain. I've worn it in a cold, pelting rain on the bike, and when you're on the bike and you're going 10, 15 miles an hour, and the rain's hitting you, if you're wearing a rain shell that is just treated fabric, sometimes the rain will just drive through that, and it'll wet out, and then it'll be wet on the inside and not that warm. So I really like this fabric, this OutDry Extreme fabric that they use. It does seem to keep the interior of the jacket drier. You just have to be careful to ventilate, because if you don't ventilate, then you'll build up moisture on the inside of the jacket, and that's never a good thing. And then the last thing I've got here, this is a pair of Gore-Tex socks, and these are vintage items. You probably can't even find these anymore. Gore-Tex Rocky socks, but they're made from the Gore-Tex fabric. They've got a stretchable Gore-Tex on there, and these are rain socks that I'll use only in the case of a lot of rain and a lot of water on the trail. So if you have to step down and you step into a puddle, or you have to step down into a stream, these will keep my feet dry, hopefully. I haven't tested them yet. I know you should never go out and bring gear that you've never tested. I just haven't had an opportunity to do that here in Michigan. I have gone for rides where I've had to use my rain gear multiple times, and the rain gear all works fine, but it's never been wet enough to really need a pair of Gore-Tex socks. So I've got those with me for the Great Divide. So that's my rain gear for the trip, and then next to that, I'm starting with my my warm weather gear. So there on the floor, that's a pair of arm coolers, and then those are hand covers. They're also some kind of material that wicks and cools, and then a pair of thin socks and a thin wool icebreaker t-shirt. So that's my warm weather gear. With the warm weather gear, I'll just wear either the liner shorts, or I can wear the liner shorts with mountain bike shorts over those. But that'll really really takes the layers off if it's that warm. And when I was in Montana riding a few years ago, it was in July, and it was very warm. It was up in the 90s, And so having warm weather clothes is essential for the Continental Divide Trail, the Great Divide. Okay, and then right next to my warm weather gear, I've got a few frigid weather options. Like I've got these are Gore-Tex C5 gloves. I've worn these several times in temperatures like in the probably the low 40s, maybe upper 30s, and really like them. They're waterproof and they dry out pretty quickly, and they're comfortable on my hands. They got some nice reflective accents on them, so I like those. I've got a Smart Wool kind of beanie cap here for cold days, and then I've also got leg warmers right here. And then lastly, if things get really out of hand, really cold, right here I've got a pair of down pants. And these are wonderful in camp. You get into camp and the temperature's going down fast and you're depleted and tired and your body's having a hard time warming up. These pants, very lightweight, hardly weigh anything. They could pack down into something half this size, but this is, this is the bag I have, so this is what I'll use. But very lightweight, very comfortable. If the temperature really drops, if I need extra warmth at night, then I'm all set with those. And by the way, that's a Montbell item. I've got a couple Montbell items. They don't give them away, but they're great gear and very useful. So this is a Montbell down anorak and has a lot of great features. It cinches up at just the right places, around your waist, around your face. Very, very warm and packs up, nicely. And so that's my backup plan. If it gets super cold and I really need something to help me warm up, I've got those ready to go. Okay, then the last row over here of gear that I have, let me walk over here, show you what we got. Let me grab a chair. All right. Last set of gear. All right, so this row I've got my electronics, my first aid, my wallet, my mess kit, my water gear, and my bear bag back there in the back. So let's talk about what we got here. So as far as electronics go, I've got a Nitecore 20 milliamp, 20,000 milliamp battery. And it's, I don't know if it's waterproof, but it's, I won't say. It's pretty sturdy. It's made for camping, and it's as light as any battery I've found out there that's 200 or 20,000 milliamps. It will charge my phone 3 to 4 times. It will charge through. You can charge it while it's charging another device. It's got the power management software or whatever that is in there, so that it charges things very, very quickly, and it also takes a charge very quickly. So it's a great little unit. I've got my Garmin 840 Solar. It's got my maps on it. I don't have any paper maps. I'm not carrying any paper maps with me. Today, paper maps are great, right? They're fun to read, and it's nice to have that as a backup. But on my cell phone, I've got an app, Ride with GPS, that has the maps loaded on it, and it also has all of the waypoints loaded as well. So, and I also have the waypoints on the maps on my Garmin, but they're easier to see on my cell phone. I also have the route descriptions in the Ride with GPS app. Got those off of the ACA website, Adventure Cycling Association website. So between my phone and my Garmin, I've got I've got the maps, I've got the waypoints on my phone, on the app, I've got the description, the route descriptions. So, you know, I really don't feel like I need a hard copy map backup. So that's where we are today, folks. I've got my charger. It has 2 USB-C ports that have the power, high power, and then 3 USB-A ports for charging. Like most of us, I've got a Garmin InReach communicator, and you know, that's a fantastic item. You can text, you can email. Even if you don't have cell service, you can, you know, any remote place, it goes to a satellite and you can send emails home. Probably, I don't know if you can send pictures, but I haven't tried that yet, but you can send messages home at least. I've got a tail light in here. I always burn a tail light at night or during the day. If I'm riding any place where there's traffic, I'll burn a light during the day so that I'm as visible as possible. And I've got these 2 things right here. These are, let's see if they want to come out. They don't really want to come out very well. These 2 guys right here, those are called amphipods. A lot of runners use those. You can clip it on your belt, on your backside when you're out for a run in the morning so drivers can see you. They flash. Not only do they, well, I'll show you the features here. These are really cool. So they'll flash. You can put that on the back of your bike or the back of your body. Obviously, people can see that. Then there's a level light, and then there's a level white light, a down in intensity, and then an indicator light for the front of the bike so people see you coming. So those are the features of both of those lights. They've got I couldn't tell you exactly what the battery life is, but it's got to be a couple of hours at least. And so those are great because I'll put it, it's got a clip on the back of it. They both do. Right here, see that? It's got a clip on the back of it, so you can clip it onto your waist strap, or you can clip it onto a bag on the back of your bike or on the front of your bike. And so those are so versatile. I take them with me because I use them as camp lights at night in camp in case I need to find something and it's dark outside. And I don't have a flashlight or a headlamp. The flashlight's on my bicycle, so I just keep one of those amphipods on the collar of my shirt. And then if I need to find something, I can turn it on. And I've got a light. I put them on the front of my bike as a warning light. I put them on the back of my bike and flash them red if I need to. So very versatile and useful. They can even be used as a headlight. You know, if for some reason your headlight burns out and you're out there in the middle of the woods and it's dark outside. That's happened to me before. You do have that much light, and that will light up. You can't go burning down the trail, but you can at least see in front of you, and that can be a lifesaver. Turn that off again. Okay. Next item, I've got my headlight, which is Fenix, what do we call this one? BC26R. This is one of their latest lights, and it's got 4 levels, plus it does a flash. And at its highest level, it lasts about 3 hours. And at its with a flash, it lasts basically indefinitely. It'll last longer than you will if you're out for a ride and it's flashing. So that mounts on my helmet, and then I've got an extra battery for that with me, and then I've got 2 batteries for my Garmin, not my Garmin, my SRAM AXS shifting system on my bike. I put electronic shifting on my bike this year, and I just love it. Everybody says that, right? So put it on this year. I had been riding I'd been out a few times and just kept reading about people saying, oh, I love it, I love it. So the price point came down to under $500, and I thought, okay, I'll give it a try. And I put it on the bike, and it just adds so much to the ride. You never have to be concerned about a bad shift or getting into a place where you're trying to get into a gear and the chain is stumbling, and you can't get the torque you need to get over an obstacle. With the SRAM AXS shifting, the gear is always there. You just hit a button and you're in the gear that you want to be in. And these batteries, I've ridden over 150 miles on a battery, and it still showed it still showed green, which means it still had plenty of power. So very happy, with the battery life. Let's say I get 2 or 3 days out of each one. I did bring a charger. I've got a charger here. It's just a single charger. So, I'll be ready to charge them up. Can charge those up. And then I've got a bunch of USB cables in here to charge everything. And lastly, I've got an extra micro SD card for the GoPro that I'm recording on right now. So it's a 512 gigabyte card. I think the Garmin will take, not the Garmin, the GoPro will take like a 1 gig card, or 1 terabyte card. I'm sorry, not a 1 gig, but a 1 terabyte card. But I've just got a couple of 512 gigabyte cards, one in the camera, one right here, so I can record. And then the rest of the gear here, sorry I'm taking so long, but the rest of the gear here, these are things that I'm going to carry in the fuel tank or the bento box, whatever you want to call that, the little box that straps to the top tube and to the steering, whatever that's called, the head tube, yeah, the head tube. So in this, I've got bug spray, DEET. I've got a little container of DEET. I've got the anti-chafe stick right there, a little tiny one. Hydrocortisone cream for the rear end if it gets in bad shape. I've got a pen in there, and I've got some Post-it notes. And basically that's for making like a list, because as you're riding along, you're thinking, oh, I need to pick up some Pop-Tarts or something at the next rest at the next gas station. So writing it down, sometimes the exertion, I just can't think as well as I would like to, and so having things written down is helpful. And with the Post-its, I can also post a note for somebody who might be coming up from behind me, and leave a note somewhere. So and also a pen. Sometimes you get to a campground where you have to do a manual pay station, and you have to write a check and stuff it in an envelope and stuff it in a pay station. So I've got a pen in there for those kinds of emergencies. I've got my bike packing wallet back there. This is just I may switch this out for something else, but it's a Cedar Summit wallet, and it's got a 5-pound note in there that I got from Gavin and Ricky, I think was his name, right? Ricky. They were a couple guys from the UK, and they were riding the trail, the Continental Divide Trail, with their father Barry, and they gave me that 5-pound note, so I stuffed it in my wallet, and there it is. It's still in there. Then the next thing here I've got is a crash pack, road rash survival kit. I figure that's the most likely thing, the most likely injury for somebody who's out on riding a bicycle through the mountains on dirt roads is to have some road rash. So my wife gave that to me, I don't know, a year or two ago. So I'm going to bring that. I think that's probably the best first aid kit I could bring with me. I've got my toilet kit right next to that. These little mini rolls of toilet paper and a potty trowel. I've got backup water tablets. Each one of these, I've got 15 of them in here. Each one of these will treat 750 milliliters of water. So basically a big water bottle. I can treat it with these aqua tabs. That's just in case my water filter goes kaput, which I don't expect, but nobody expects that. I've got my mess kit right here. This is a 500 milliliter titanium pot, and stuffed inside of it, I've got my lighter, my Bic lighter, so I can start the stove. Got this little teeny tiny stove, BRS stove, smallest, lightest stove I've ever seen in my life. And then a propane or whatever that gas mix is. Let's see, it says isobutane, butane, propane gas mix. So whatever that is fits inside of my cup, and that's where I boil my water for my dehydrated meals. And I'll put that right there. Then my water purification kit. I already showed you my backup water tabs, but I got this guy. I haven't tried this out yet, but I've got this HydroPack filter, and what I love about this filter is it has a quick connect end on it, so that you can connect it quickly to a quick connect tube. And I actually manufactured this tube from a couple of other tubes. I had a tube like this. I cut the end off of it, and I put in another quick connect on this end. And so that's what I've got right here. And this is to filter dirty water to clean water. So it'll come out of my bag. I'll screw this. It's got threads in there, 28 millimeter. That'll screw onto a bag. I use a Canuck bag. I'll screw that onto a Canuck bag. Water goes through it, comes out the other end, goes into my tube, and then this tube connects to this water bag right here. There's the water bag right there. Tube connects to that, fills that water bag, and that then goes in my frame bag on my bicycle. And this is a back flush tool right here that they supply. You just you put it in the quick connect right there, attach a water bottle or something to that, and just push water back through, and that does a back flush in case the filter has become clogged with sediment. So that's my water filtration system right there. It says that it filters over 1 liter per minute, and so 3 liters, we're talking about 3 minutes of filtering water, and it does it all by gravity. I don't have to squeeze, I don't have to pump, and so it's just a gravity filter that I'm going to be using. And I'm kind of excited about that because in the past I've used pump filters, and sometimes literally, your arms and hands are so tired that, or maybe it's so hot outside that you just want to get in and get out, or you want to move to some place where it's cooler. With this, I can just grab some dirty water. I call it dirty, just unpurified water, in my 3 liter bladder, haul it someplace where I feel comfortable, and then engage the gravity filter, and a couple minutes later I'll have my water. So enough of that. Last couple items here. I've got this. This is a ultralight backpack, and the thought behind this is if I pick up food someplace, I maybe don't want to tear open my panniers and find my food bag, and maybe my panniers are already full and I don't want to try to fit anything else in there. So extra food, let's say I get a big old sandwich somewhere, or some drinks or something like that, I can pile them into this. I can open this up, just Velcro it open, turns into an ultralight backpack, and I can load extra food into there. And when I get to a place where I want to move it around, I can do that. So that's like a short-term solution. If there's something that I'm going to be carrying all day long, then I'd probably go ahead and attach it to the back of the bike. My trunk bag has some loops on it that I can attach things to, so I'd probably attach it to the back of the bike. But that backpack gives me the option of adding, quite a bit of food and just carrying it short distances in a backpack. And then the last thing we've got here is my bear bag. This is a Z-Packs bear bag. It's made from Dyneema, very strong and waterproof. It's got taped seams inside, and so those should be mostly waterproof. Nothing is completely waterproof, but those should be pretty waterproof in here. Right now I've just got a few I've got a few Stroop waffles. I'd like to have a few of those with me, especially early on in a ride until I can get adjusted. In here I've got a titanium, long-handled titanium spoon in there. And I haven't packed up all of my meals yet. I do have some powdered milk in there because I'm a big fan of making my own granola. Well, not making my own granola, but stopping, someplace, a grocery store, grabbing a bag of granola. And then I've got breakfast for a couple days because I just add a third of a cup of dry milk, add cold water, stir, and I've got milk for my granola, and I can eat granola, berries, just by carrying a few ounces of powdered milk. Other things in the bag, I've got one freeze-dried meal in there right now. I'm going to add 4 or 5 more, and then I've got, you can see the rope in there, or the twine. That's used to secure the bear bag, right? And then the rock bag, I tie the string to the rock bag, put some rocks in that, throw it over a branch, and then feed it back through the carabiner, and then pull the bear bag up into the tree. Hopefully I'm doing that right. I think I am. It works anyway. And so that's my food bag. So you probably look at all that stuff and think, how are you ever going to fit all that on your bike or in your panniers? The nice thing is most of this does not go inside of the panniers of the bike. Most of it actually straps to the outside, especially the camping gear over there. Most of that goes on the outside of the bike, like the Zenbivy, this big bag right here. This becomes my trunk bag, goes on the back of the bike. This goes on the front of the bike, mounts on the handlebars. I've got a Revelate Design pitchfork mount that goes in there, as well as the carbon tent poles. The chair I plan to mount on the fork of the bike, and the shoes are strapped to the top of the Zenbivy on the trunk of the bike. So just a few of these things actually go in the panniers on the bike. I'm going to be wearing all of this stuff right here, so that won't go in the panniers. This stuff will go in the panniers, right, unless it's raining. I've got my rain gear. I've got my warm weather gear. I've got my cold weather gear. That stuff will go in the panniers except when I'm wearing it. And then I've got my electronics, which will go in the panniers. And some of the stuff will be spread around. Some of it's going to go in my gas tank bag on the front of the bike. And some of it may end up in a bag on my fork. And the water is going to go in the frame bag on the bike, in the triangle of the frame. The food bag is going to go in a pannier, and worst case scenario, if I'm low on space in the panniers, I can always strap my food bag to the back of the bike. On the trunk bag, I can use Volley straps and attach that to the back of the bike. So I'll put a list of all this gear on the website so that you'll have a full list of everything I've got here. But this is the full complement of gear that I'll be bringing. Maybe it's a bit excessive, but I'm only, I'm doing this solo, and so I can't rely on somebody else. There's other riders out there, and you see them from time to time, but it may be, several hours before somebody comes by if you get into trouble. So I pretty much have to rely on myself. So I've got a pretty comprehensive complement of gear here. I want to be warm. That's kind of my greatest fear, is being someplace out in a remote area and going hypothermic and not being able to function. And so I built my kit around staying warm. And once I'm in an area where the weather warms up, then I can wear my warmer weather gear. So there it is, folks. All of the gear that I plan to bring on the Great Divide Trail, and we'll start June 2025, probably on the Grand Depart Day, even though I'm not going to be doing the Tour Divide, because that's a separate, they use, the Tour Divide uses parts of the Great Divide Trail, but they tweak it for their own, for the Tour Divide. I'll be following the Great Divide trail maps, and that's the gear I'm going to be bringing right there. And hope that's helpful to you. And I will, as I said, post a list on the website. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.